You know, I was thinking the other day about how life is like a big road trip. When we're younger, it feels like we're racing down the highway, trying to get to the next stop as quickly as possible. But as we get older, we start to realize that the journey itself, the sights along the way, the people we meet, the moments we share, those are what really matter. And if you ask me, there's no better time than now to hit the open road, whether that means exploring a new city, revisiting an old favorite, or even just stepping out your front door with a sense of adventure. Traveling isn't just for the young and restless anymore. In fact, many seniors today are proving that age is just a number when it comes to seeing the world. Maybe you've been dreaming of taking that long-awaited trip, but haven't quite taken the leap yet. Or maybe you've already started planning, but aren't sure where to begin. Either way, this is for you. A guide to making travel exciting, comfortable, and completely doable at any age. Because let's face it, life doesn't slow down just because we've earned a few gray hairs. If anything, it gives us more reasons to celebrate. Now, before we dive in, I want to be clear about something. Traveling as a senior doesn't mean you have to sacrifice comfort or safety. It's all about finding ways to make the experience enjoyable while staying true to who you are and what you need. Over the next little bit, we'll talk through some tips and ideas that can help take the stress out of travel and turn it into something truly special. We'll cover everything from packing smart to choosing destinations that suit your pace, all with plenty of practical advice sprinkled in. Let's start with one of the most important things: preparation. You've probably heard the phrase, failing to plan is planning to fail, and nowhere is that truer than when it comes to traveling. But don't worry, this isn't about creating a rigid schedule or overloading yourself with details. Instead, think of it as setting yourself up for success. For example, consider visiting your doctor before you go. A quick checkup can give you peace of mind and ensure you're ready for whatever adventures lie ahead. This is especially helpful if you're heading somewhere with a different climate or altitude. Your doctor might also remind you to pack medications or suggest any precautions specific to your destination. It's a small step, but trust me, it can make a world of difference. Another key part of preparing is doing a little research on your destination. Now, I'm not talking about poring over every single detail until you feel overwhelmed, just enough to get a sense of what to expect. Are there cobblestone streets that might be tricky to navigate? Is public transportation easy to use? Or would renting a car be simpler? Knowing these things ahead of time helps you plan accordingly and avoid unnecessary surprises. Plus, it gives you the chance to look for places that cater to travelers like you. Many hotels and resorts nowadays offer amenities specifically designed for seniors, like elevators instead of stairs, grab bars and bathrooms, or even wellness programs tailored to older guests. These little touches can make your stay much more comfortable. Speaking of comfort, let's talk about pacing yourself. One of the biggest misconceptions about travel is that you have to cram every minute with activity. But here's the truth: slowing down doesn't mean missing out. In fact, it often means the opposite. When you give yourself permission to savor each moment, you'll find that the experiences become richer and more meaningful. So instead of rushing from one landmark to another, why not linger a little longer? Sit at a cafe and watch the world go by. Take a leisurely stroll through a park. Strike up a conversation with a local shopkeeper. These are the kinds of moments that stay with you long after the trip is over. And speaking of slowing down, one of the best ways to do that is by choosing the right kind of accommodations. Whether you prefer a cozy bed and breakfast, a spacious vacation rental, or a fully equipped hotel room, the key is finding a place that feels like home away from home. Think about what makes you feel comfortable. Is it having a kitchenette so you can prepare your own meals? Or maybe it's being close to attractions so you don't have to travel far each day. Whatever it is, prioritizing those details can make your trip infinitely more enjoyable. Of course, none of this matters if you don't take care of yourself along the way. Traveling can be physically demanding, even if you're not hiking mountains or climbing ancient ruins. That's why it's so important to listen to your body and give it the rest it needs. Build breaks into your itinerary, whether it's a nap back at your hotel or simply sitting down for a cup of tea. Remember, the goal is to come home feeling refreshed, not exhausted. And hey, if you ever feel like skipping an activity because you'd rather relax, that's perfectly okay too. After all, this is your adventure, and you get to decide how it unfolds. So far, we've touched on a few essentials: preparing in advance, researching your destination, pacing yourself, and choosing accommodations wisely. But there's still so much more to explore, like how to pack efficiently without lugging around a suitcase full of things you don't really need, or how to embrace technology to make your travels smoother and more enjoyable. And let's not forget about the importance of connecting with others, both during your trip and once you return home. All of these pieces fit together to create a travel experience that's not only memorable, but also uniquely yours. As we continue, I'll share some more tips and stories that I think will resonate with you. Because ultimately, this isn't just about ticking items off a bucket list. It's about rediscovering the joy of exploration, no matter your age. So stick with me, and let's keep uncovering the secrets to making every journey a little brighter. Let's talk about packing. Now, I know what you're thinking. Packing can sometimes feel like the least fun part of traveling. But here's the good news: it doesn't have to be stressful. The key is to pack smart, not heavy. When you're traveling as a senior, comfort and convenience should always come first. Think about it this way: every item you bring should serve a purpose. If it doesn't add value to your trip, leave it behind. Trust me, there's nothing worse than lugging around a heavy suitcase filled with things you'll never use. Start with the essentials. Comfortable shoes are non-negotiable. Whether you're walking through cobblestone streets or strolling along a beach, having supportive footwear can make or break your day. And don't forget to break them in before your trip. There's nothing worse than realizing halfway through your vacation that your new shoes are giving you blisters. Along with shoes, pack clothes that are versatile and easy to layer. Weather can be unpredictable, so having options lets you adjust without feeling restricted. A light jacket, a scarf, or even a foldable hat can go a long way in keeping you comfortable no matter where you are. Now, let's talk about technology. I know some folks might roll their eyes at this, but hear me out. Tech can actually make your travels easier, not harder. For example, consider bringing a small portable charger for your phone. You'd be surprised how often you'll use it, whether it's to snap photos, check directions, or stay connected with loved ones back home. And speaking of staying connected, apps can be a lifesaver. Maps, translation tools, and even ride-sharing services are just a tap away. Don't worry if you're not super tech-savvy. Most of these apps are designed to be user-friendly. Plus, asking for help setting them up before your trip is a great excuse to spend time with your grandkids. They'll love teaching you something new. Another thing I want to touch on is money. Traveling often means dealing with different currencies, and while cash is still king in many places, credit cards are widely accepted too. Before you leave, call your bank to let them know where you're going. This helps prevent any issues with your card being flagged for suspicious activity. And while you're at it, ask about international fees. Some cards charge extra for purchases made abroad, so it's worth knowing ahead of time. Oh, and here's a little trick: carry a mix of payment methods. That way, if one option doesn't work, you've got a backup ready to go. Now, let's shift gears a bit and talk about something that's close to my heart: staying active during your travels. I know the idea of staying active might sound intimidating, especially if you're not used to intense physical activity. But trust me, it doesn't have to mean running marathons or climbing mountains. It's more about finding ways to keep moving that feel good for you. Walking is one of the best ways to do this. Not only does it allow you to see more of your surroundings, but it's also gentle on your body. Many cities offer guided walking tours tailored specifically for seniors, which can be a fantastic way to learn about local history while getting some fresh air. Or, if you prefer something a little less structured, simply wandering through a neighborhood or park can be equally rewarding. If walking isn't your thing, or if you're looking for variety, consider other low-impact activities. Renting a bike, taking a boat tour, or even trying yoga on the beach are all great options. The goal is to find something that brings you joy without pushing yourself too hard. And remember, it's perfectly okay to take breaks whenever you need them. Listen to your body, it knows best. One of the most beautiful aspects of travel is the opportunity to connect with others. Whether it's chatting with locals, sharing stories with fellow travelers, or simply exchanging smiles with someone you pass on the street. These interactions can enrich your experience in ways you might not expect. I'll never forget a trip I took years ago when I struck up a conversation with an elderly shopkeeper in a tiny village. He told me stories about his childhood, shared homemade cookies, and gave me tips on hidden gems to visit nearby. By the end of our chat, I felt like I'd made a new friend. Moments like that remind us that travel isn't just about seeing new places. It's about meeting new people and learning from their perspectives. Of course, connecting with others doesn't stop once you return home. Sharing your experiences with family and friends can be incredibly fulfilling. Maybe it's showing off photos from your trip, recounting funny mishaps, or even inspiring someone else to plan their own adventure. These conversations not only keep the memories alive, but also strengthen the bonds you share with those around you. After all, life is meant to be shared, and there's no better way to do that than by bringing a piece of your travels back home with you. As we move forward, I want to delve into another important aspect of travel, one that ties everything together. It's about embracing flexibility and adapting to the unexpected. Because no matter how well you plan, surprises are bound to happen. But here's the secret. Those surprises often turn out to be the highlights of your journey. So, how do you prepare for the unplanned? How do you stay open-minded and adaptable while still maintaining a sense of control? Stick with me, and I'll share some thoughts that I think will resonate deeply with you. Because at the end of the day, travel is as much about the detours as it is about the destination. Let's talk about flexibility and how embracing the unexpected can actually enhance your travels. Life has a funny way of throwing curveballs, doesn't it? And when you're on the road, those curveballs might come in the form of delayed flights, sudden weather changes, or even a restaurant that's unexpectedly closed. At first glance, these little hiccups might seem like inconveniences, but here's the thing. They often lead to some of the most memorable moments of your trip. Think of them not as obstacles, but as opportunities to discover something new. Take missed connections, for example. Maybe your train is running late, and you find yourself with an extra hour to kill at the station. Instead of stressing about the delay, why not use that time to explore? You might stumble upon a charming cafe, strike up a conversation with a fellow traveler, or simply sit back and watch the world go by. These unplanned pauses can give you a chance to slow down and soak in the atmosphere in ways you wouldn't have otherwise. After all, some of the best travel stories aren't about what went according to plan. They're about the detours that turned into delightful surprises. Now, I know what you might be thinking. That sounds nice, but how do I stay calm when things don't go as expected? It's a valid question, and the answer lies in mindset. When you approach travel with a sense of openness and curiosity, you're less likely to feel frustrated by the bumps along the way. One trick I've found helpful is to remind myself that I'm not just visiting a place, I'm experiencing it. That shift in perspective makes all the difference. For instance, if it rains on the day you plan to tour an outdoor market, consider it an invitation to explore indoor attractions instead. Museums, galleries, and local shops can offer just as much charm, and sometimes even more, than their open-air counterparts. Another way to embrace flexibility is by leaving room in your itinerary for spontaneity. While planning is important, overscheduling can leave you feeling rushed and stressed. Instead, aim for a balance between structure and freedom. Let's say you're visiting a city known for its historic landmarks. Sure, you'll want to see the famous cathedral or castle everyone talks about, but don't feel pressured to cram every single site into one day. Leave some gaps in your schedule so you can wander without a set agenda. Who knows? You might discover a tucked-away garden, a quirky bookshop, or a hidden alleyway that feels like it was pulled straight out of a storybook. Those unplanned discoveries often become the highlights of your trip. Speaking of highlights, let's not forget the importance of savoring the simple pleasures. Sometimes, the most unforgettable moments are the ones that seem ordinary at first glance. Maybe it's the taste of freshly baked bread from a neighborhood bakery, the sound of birds chirping in a quiet park, or the warmth of sunlight streaming through your hotel window. These small joys remind us that travel isn't always about grand gestures or bucket list items. It's also about appreciating the beauty in everyday moments. And as we get older, I think we start to realize just how precious those moments truly are. Of course, staying flexible doesn't mean abandoning all plans altogether. It's about finding a middle ground that works for you. For example, if you're someone who likes having a general outline, try creating a loose framework for each day rather than a rigid schedule. Write down 2 or 3 must-see spots, but leave the rest open-ended. That way, you still have direction, but you're free to adapt as needed. If you wake up feeling energetic, you can tackle more activities. If you're feeling tired, you can take it easy without guilt. Travel should never feel like a chore. It's supposed to be fun. And speaking of fun, let's talk about trying new things. This is where flexibility really shines. When you're willing to step outside your comfort zone, even just a little, you open yourself up to experiences you might never have imagined. Have you ever thought about taking a cooking class while traveling? Or maybe attending a cultural festival or learning a traditional dance? These kinds of activities not only immerse you in the local culture, but also create lasting memories. Plus, they're a great way to meet people and share laughter. Just imagine swapping recipes with a chef in Italy or learning salsa moves from a local instructor in Mexico. Moments like these remind us that no matter our age, there's always room to grow and learn. One of my favorite examples of this comes from a friend of mine who recently visited Japan for the first time. She had always been fascinated by Japanese tea ceremonies, so she decided to attend one during her trip. What she didn't expect was how much she'd enjoy the entire process. The precision, the rituals, the quiet mindfulness. By the end of the session, she felt a deep sense of connection, not just to the culture, but to herself. Experiences like that stay with you long after the trip is over, shaping the way you view the world and your place in it. As we wrap up this part of our conversation, I want to circle back to the idea that travel is a journey, not just a destination. Every twist and turn, every unexpected moment, adds depth and richness to the experience. And while it's natural to want things to go smoothly, remember that perfection isn't the goal. The goal is to live fully, to embrace life with all its quirks and surprises. Because when you do that, you'll find that adventure isn't limited by age. It's fueled by curiosity, resilience, and a willingness to keep exploring. So far, we've covered a lot of ground. Preparing thoughtfully, packing efficiently, staying active, connecting with others, and embracing flexibility. But there's one final piece of the puzzle that ties everything together, and it's perhaps the most important of all. It's about reflecting on your travels, not just during the trip, but afterward too, and letting those reflections inspire you to keep dreaming, planning, and living boldly. Stick with me, because I'm going to share some thoughts that I think will leave you feeling inspired and ready to take on whatever adventure calls your name next. Let's talk about the power of reflection and how it can transform your travels into something even more meaningful. You know, there's something magical about looking back on a trip after it's over. It's like flipping through the pages of a cherished photo album or rereading a favorite letter from an old friend. Those memories, whether they're big, sweeping moments or quiet, personal ones, have a way of staying with you long after you've returned home. And when you take the time to reflect on them, you give yourself the gift of truly savoring everything you experienced. Reflection doesn't have to be complicated. It can be as simple as jotting down a few notes in a journal, sharing stories with loved ones, or even just sitting quietly and letting your mind wander back to those special places. I'll never forget the first time I started keeping a travel journal. At first, I wasn't sure what to write. How do you capture the smell of fresh lavender in Provence or the sound of waves crashing against a rocky shore? But over time, I realized that it wasn't about perfection. It was about capturing the essence of the moment, however imperfectly. Sometimes it was just a few sentences. The sun set over the ocean today, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. I felt so peaceful. Other times, it was longer, more detailed entries about conversations I had or lessons I learned. Either way, those words became treasures I could revisit anytime I wanted to relive the magic of my travels. If writing isn't your thing, don't worry. There are plenty of other ways to reflect. Sharing your experiences with family and friends is one of the most rewarding methods. Maybe it's showing off photos from your trip, recounting funny mishaps, or describing the breathtaking views you saw from the top of a hill. These conversations not only keep the memories alive, but also deepen your connections with the people you care about. There's something incredibly fulfilling about seeing someone else's eyes light up as you tell them about the hidden gem of a restaurant you discovered or the kind stranger who helped you find your way when you were lost. And speaking of connections, reflecting on your travels can also inspire you to dream bigger and bolder. Every trip has a way of opening doors we didn't even know existed. Maybe you fell in love with a particular city and now want to explore its neighboring towns. Or perhaps you tried an activity you'd never considered before, like paddleboarding or wine tasting, and discovered a new passion. Whatever it is, let those reflections guide you toward your next adventure. Life is full of possibilities, and the more you embrace them, the richer your journey becomes. One of the most beautiful things about travel is that it reminds us of our capacity to adapt, grow, and thrive at any age. Whether you're navigating unfamiliar streets, trying new foods, or meeting people from different walks of life, every experience shapes you in subtle yet profound ways. It teaches you resilience, patience, and gratitude, not just for the world around you, but for the strength within you. And that's something worth celebrating. Now, as we come to the end of our conversation, I want to leave you with this thought. You're never too old to feel young again. Travel has a way of reigniting that sense of wonder and curiosity that's been inside you all along. It encourages you to step outside your comfort zone, to see the world with fresh eyes, and to create memories that will stay with you forever. So whether your next adventure takes you across the globe or just around the corner, approach it with an open heart and a spirit of discovery. Because every journey, no matter how big or small, is a chance to live fully and joyfully. Before we wrap up, I'd love to hear from you. What are some of your favorite travel memories? Or maybe you're planning a trip right now and want to share your excitement. Drop a comment below. I'd love to cheer you on and hear your stories. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more tips and inspiration. Together, we can keep exploring, learning, and growing, one adventure at a time. So here's to you, the adventurer, the dreamer, the lifelong learner. May your travels be filled with laughter, connection, and endless possibilities. And remember, no matter where life takes you, the best part of the journey is always the people you meet along the way, including yourself. Safe travels, my friend, and until next time, keep dreaming big.